Hello everyone, we're back after lunch, and I'm sure my colleagues shared some interesting ideas. We are now going to Stockholm, where we will have Egle Frederiksson, Portfolio Manager of East Capital Asset Management, with us discussing about the listing of Hydroelectrica and the future of the Bucharest Stock Exchange. Egle, if you can hear us, hi, and sorry that we're late.
Hi everybody.
Hi, thank you.
I hope you hear me well.
Yes, we can hear you. We're not seeing you so far, but I'm sure my colleagues will fix that. Yes, we can see you now. It's great seeing you again because you are present at another event of ours about capital market. Let's see about Hydroelectrica, because as we've seen in the Bloomberg terminal, East Capital Asset Management is as an investor there. How do you see the company, and how do you see the Bucharest Stock Exchange now that we are on maximum high regarding the liquidity, number of investors, and of course the BET index?
Yeah, so I think it's a great event, a great milestone achieved for the Romanian stock market and overall for Romania as a country. It's I think well-executed IPO. It's a great company. Proud to be a shareholder there. I think, yeah, it's one of those very few green energy companies in Europe. So that's why I think we are seeing not only investors who are viewing the region positively, but also those international investors who are looking for this type of green energy exposure on a stock exchange. Dividend yield is fantastic. I mean, we probably, hopefully, will see more kind of news from the company when it comes to the development of their renewables pipeline. But overall, yes, excited about this IPO. We were waiting for it for a long time, so now it happened. And then what's next for the Romanian Stock Exchange? I think we, well, unfortunately, there's no shortcuts, right? We need more IPOs like that, and I'm not saying that specifically within an industry or anything. We need more large companies listed on the Romanian Stock Exchange. In terms of, let's say, we ourselves were hoping, that Romania will be upgraded to emerging markets, for example. But unfortunately, this upgrade needs to happen kind of following the large increase of liquidity in the Romanian market, not that reaching a certain threshold, because right now Romania is a very sort of significant and visible part of the frontier market, and is duly so, deserving lots of investors' attention that look at the frontier markets. But if it just sort of passes a threshold on a small margin into the emerging markets, it will become very small in emerging markets index, and then many investors might just kind of skip it, and this might not be a best way forward. The best way forward would be significantly increase the number of large companies listed on a stock exchange, which with large liquidity, and that would ensure a much bigger visibility on whichever index would be including Romania. So this is what I think is the real kind of target for the stock exchange. And I don't really want to discount all the efforts that have been made by the stock exchange. There were many smaller IPOs, but unfortunately they just don't make that sort of size limit that makes the international investors look at the market with different eagerness, to say. Yeah, I don't know if it answers your question, or you want me to elaborate more?
Yes, TB?
No, we are going to Ivan Kurtovic, CEO of Intercapital Asset Management. Ivan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you well. Hello.
Sorry for the delay. Feel free to join us to the panel. I know that you have also an investment in Hydroelectrica. Why did you do these investments, and what your strategy for regional markets and Romania specifically?
First of all, thanks for inviting me to be part of this panel. I can say only that basically we are invested or we are exposed to this market for 12, 15 years already. We've been following basically more or less all the IPOs or SPOs that are going throughout the whole South and Eastern Europe region, and obviously Hydro was one of the IPOs, especially this year. So the largest one in Europe, and definitely something that can help, to transform also how people and investors look at the country itself. So this was definitely one angle. Then obviously, the valuation-wise, Romania is a country, and then immediately as well, the Hydro was quite, I would say, attractively priced. With decent or quite high dividend yield as well, so definitely something that can help, to move the parts in the portfolio as well, to make the portfolio be much more robust, but also explosive, I would say, going forward. And last but not the least, we are running also ETF based on Romania. So this is just one of our portfolio that invested or got exposed to Hydro. And basically, being significant part of the index, definitely this was one of the reasons why we took part as well in this IPO.
For instance, a question for both of you, Ivan. Hydroelectrica is the biggest Romanian state-owned company and one of the most generous with its investors by paying around 90% of profits in dividends. Do you think for the Bucharest Stock Exchange this is a driver that will decrease the liquidity, having so many state-owned companies that are generous with dividends? Because investors usually, when they see around 10-12% yield, they tend to stay on those companies and not be so active.
Well, yes and no. Definitely no. There are no. There is no single answer to that. Obviously, no part of the investors would like to get exposed to this because of the dividend yield. Maybe some of the investors, especially retail one, might observe it as more like replacement for some kind of a bit agile deposit. Why? Because you have a decent dividend yield. But then again, overall on the stock exchange, at least by the information that we read from the public sources, there were a number of or thousands of new accounts that have been opened, in particular retail accounts. Also, the Hydro as such with the roadshow that the company took together with the advisor helped to promote and reposition Romania as a market. So what we understood, there were really a lot of new foreign investors that came into or that got exposed into Romanian market. And basically now I think it is on the overall ecosystem, so stock exchange, brokers, banks, to continue and to build on top of that. So not just to look, with the existing client base, but to promote the success of this IPO and to attract and even diversify some of those new clients to the IPO.
Eglem?
Yeah, it's again, it is a bit maybe a buy and hold long-term type of stock, and I think for the trading activity to happen, I guess you need alternatives. So if you sell, you don't want investors to leave. Maybe they would be nicer if they have some alternatives to buy. That's why I was mentioning that there should be maybe more tradable stocks, and banks are one of those good alternatives. I mean, we have oil and gas, but on the other hand, there is not that much, for example, like a consumption sector in emerging Europe, and this is a bit maybe limited in terms of exposure on So yeah, what are the alternatives when you are trading? If you don't have alternatives, you are much rather likely to stay and not trade. I think what's maybe another thing for the market to develop, you need that sort of active, as was mentioned, retail and local institutional base. So what kind of incentives these investor groups have. And it was very good to see the kind of increased activity, but I was just looking, for example, at Romania, how many people are trading on a stock exchange. It's below 1% of population. That's maybe comparable like to India, where if you would take Turkey, like more than 8% or 9% of population are trading. Then if you take most probably developed markets like Sweden, here we have close to 20% of population investing on a stock exchange, like on a regular basis. So they don't really need even to trade that much. Of course they do, but just like a constant flow and very, very solid support for the stock market development together with local institutions, which also should be incentivized. So there should be sort of trading incentives as well, so that they are competing on performance and trying to return sort of the best possible returns for the future pensioners and so on. So I think, yeah, otherwise it is a risk that liquidity will sort of trail down. Yeah.
Those are some very interesting figures. What's the secret in Sweden, and how can we get to 20% from 1% right now?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very high bar, right? But I think I really mentioned also, Turkey, maybe for the wrong reasons, but population is incentivized to go to the stock market to actually have a source for protecting their wealth. I think I'm myself Lithuanian. I come from the Baltics. We have exactly the same problem, and even in the sort of small space like Baltics, you have Estonia, which is more developed than Lithuania, and Latvia, which is less developed. What are the reasons? Simple, small, tax incentive that the population has an investment, a special investment account that has some tax incentives and education, overall, basically, positive view on a stock market and investing overall. Sometimes investors in many of our markets portray as, in a negative light or like a speculation. But I think it's a culture of investing overall, and it doesn't have one sort of magic trick to achieve, but as a sort of as a complex solution, it definitely works.
Okay, thank you. TB?
I have one more question for Egle and Ivan, which I'll also address to the other panelists. What keeps foreign investors in the Romanian markets? What convinces them? And how to bring more foreign investors in Romania on the Bucharest Stock Exchange? Egle?
Egle, you can.
I can start. I mean, for us, it's very simple, I guess, because of Romanian fundamentals. I mean, you have on the top-down level, you have GDP growth. That's not so common these days in Europe and globally. You have very sort of solid fundamentals of the companies that you invest, including the high dividend yield that we were mentioning, the return on capital in most of the companies that we invest in Romania, we find very attractive, more than 20%. And valuations is some of the lowest, right? So valuations is the kind of double-edged sword. It's both attractive, but it also shows that there's a lot to do and to lower that risk premium that is now quite elevated in the market. We are quite positive on the market, to be honest. Just would be very nice to see more capital markets activity and We are investing in emerging markets for decades, and we've seen some of the very sort of good success stories. And I really hope that Romania is going to be one of them.
Ivan?
Okay.
So basically, I can echo some of the stuff that Egle has mentioned. What I would like to say, or what I would like to add on top of that, that's definitely the promotion, so the road shows, especially in the foreign markets, so something that FP, so Fondul, did very, very well throughout last, I would say, decade plus, to make, more accessible, the region. In general. Why? Because foreign investors or any like frontier or emerging fund sitting in London or US, if you don't come to them, barely they can come to Romania. Some of them yes, but definitely not all of them. So the role that Fondul played, I think it was really very, very important. And actually, I would really encourage stock exchange and some other market participants, maybe brokers as well, to continue doing so, because if you raise your profile abroad, definitely, the investors will fly, or at least they would look at what basically the region or the Romanian market might offer in particular. And then I would just build on what Egle has mentioned. Basically, Romania can really offer something. So either it can be high dividend yields or low or quite attractive fundamentals, I would say, but also, the perspective, because it is growing economy, definitely second biggest economy in the Central Eastern Europe, together with Poland. The growth prospects as well, and then potentially, of course, this emerging market part that might come, as a cherry on top of the cake. But definitely, this is something that needs to be well packed and well promoted and well said. And there needs to be like ecosystem in the country, so stock exchange, I suppose, that might encourage, or that needs to encourage, the market participants and the company to actively promote it.
Egle, Ivan, thank you very much for your presence here today. Feel free to stay in this panel if your agenda allows it, because we will provide the translation. Then we will switch to Romanian to introduce the panelists that are here with us today.
Știu ce spun.
Marcel Ciolacu și-a prezentat în Parlament și Senat forma finală a reformelor fiscale.
Trăim un moment istoric, nu se mai poate. Am reușit să ne întoarcem în comunism.
Știu ce te interesează.
Pierdem 2% din PIB pentru că nu suntem în Schengen.
Domnule Marcel Ciolacu, și eu m-am săturat să nu fie doar vorbe, să fie și fapte.
Știu cum să te fac curios.
CEO-ul Meta a anunțat lansarea primilor ochelari dotați cu inteligență artificială. Port ochelare ea șmecher și vin și mă uit către tine și datele tale cine știe pe unde ajung.
Știu cum să te emoționezi.
Zelenski numără și eroi. Român de-al nostru, Radu Osu, a fost prin tranșee, s-a ascuns de rachete și continuă să ajute Ucraina, chiar dacă nu pune pe masă miliarde.
Știu să conving.
Polonia și-a schimbat politica.
Se gândesc să le livreze din nou arme ucrainenilor.
A fost Zelenski care a anunțat că îi dă în judecată. Pentru ce îi dai tu în judecată pe oamenii ăștia care te sprijină?
Știu să câștig.
Ai avut o apărare slabă.
Știu, deci știi.